to share the outdoor experience, regardless of opportunity, skill level, or ideals. This is the mission statement of Blue Collar Outdoors. Since 2006, I've poured my heart and soul into developing an idea that would allow everyday sportsmen to share their hunting and fishing adventures with the public. This is that show. This is Blue Collar Outdoor TV. Thank you for watching this episode of Blue Collar Outdoor TV, folks. I'm your host, Ryan Yaskiw. Today, we're going to take some time to look at the most controversial big game hunt we have here in Manitoba, black bear hunting. There's a lot of myths and half the truths out there about black bear hunting, and I'm going to take some time to touch on as many of them as I can. We're going to take a look at some biological facts as it pertains to bear hunting. I was also fortunate enough to get a friend of mine to share a really awesome recipe he has for preparing black bear meat for the table. This past fall, I had a friend of mine ask me to come up and help him with his bear problem. I had an unfilled bear tag, and he was having problems with black bears coming in and destroying his green feed oat field. I set up camp at the foot of the Duck Mountains. I went to the local gun range for a quick check on my rifle. Then it was time to head out for a hunt. Well, folks, it is September 5th, 2014. We're up here doing some bear hunting. I've actually got a camera lady with me today, team member April, and she is going to run camera today, a bit of a camera school. Look at an oat field back in behind us here, and I took a bit of a look around and it's getting hit pretty hard, it looks like. So we're just gonna sit and watch this evening, see if we can kind of get a sense to see what's moving around. And I doubt whether we'll go in for a kill unless a giant bear comes out. But otherwise, I'm just going to kind of sit and watch and make sure that the bears aren't sows with cubs or whatever. When you're hunting bears in the fall and standing crops like this, you just want to make sure you do it right. So we'll get walking in here and settle in. first encounter of the evening that April and I are sitting talking about life, and all of a sudden she just goes, her eyes get this big, and she's like, and there he was, like 30 yards away. Just a little 5.5-footer, little fella. But good to see, good start. Hopefully we see some more. Well, folks, that's a wrap on evening one. We saw one little bear, probably a little 6-foot square bear. I got 10 days to hunt, so I'm in no rush to shoot a bear like that. And then we took a bit of a sneak here and saw a bunch of bear sign. We could see where they've been walking through the fields, and we saw some poop. And then we just snuck into this backfield and we saw a little doe. So there's deer coming out here as well. So that's a good sign. I got 10 days. I'm in no rush to shoot a small bear. I'm sure Jim would like me to shoot a bear, but I don't want to shoot just a little guy just for the sake of shooting a bear. I want to hold off for a bit better one. So that's day 1 in the books. On to day 2 tomorrow. There's been a war waging in the hunting world, the ideals and ethics of black bear hunting. I think it's important that I lay out some facts in regards to black bears in this province before I touch on the subject. First, black bears are far from endangered throughout the majority of North America, and in fact, are far exceeding their population goals in many of those areas. Estimates put the numbers of black bears between 28 and 32,000 here in Manitoba alone. This is well above what would be a critical level and therefore affords a hunt. In some areas, such as in the farmland, black bear numbers here in Manitoba far exceed what would be a normal level. Also, there's been a very noticeable expansion of black bears southward, something that I have actually seen firsthand. This is due in part to the massive amounts of food available to bears in the agricultural areas. Bears are opportunistic omnivores, meaning they pretty much eat anything. It's a lot easier for a bear to go out and feed in an agricultural crop such as a cornfield or an oat field versus scrounging for berries and odds and ends of whatever they can find in the wild. This is one of the reasons why they've been expanding southward and their population has grown above the carrying capacity of the land. This food dynamic, as well as expansion southward, has led to more and more negative encounters with people. This includes with farmers and their crops and livestock, as well as people out in the wilderness. Lowering the odds of these type of occurrences is one of the reasons why bear hunting is such an important management tool. Finally, there's the myth that hunting of bears is for the trophy only, and there's no other reason. Many opposed to bear hunting claim the meat is inedible, greasy, and unfit for human consumption. This purely is a myth based off of ignorance. Bear meat is amazing, and it is utilized by most, if not all, bear hunters. I go out of my way, as I do with all animals, to ensure not a piece of the bear is wasted. There's many great ways to prepare bear meat, and we'll touch on that a little later on in the show. Well, folks, it's September 8th today, 2014. Back in the bear hunting spot here, just sitting on the ground waiting it out. It's a bit of a weather change. Yesterday was hot, humid, windy. Today's really cooled off. It rained for most of the morning, and now it's starting to clear up a little bit. Rainy, low pressure kind of conditions really aren't the best for bear hunting, but it's clearing out, so maybe something will happen. There was a fresh set of tracks. There's a dirt field over here, and there was a fresh set of tracks going across the field there. So I suspect that we may see something tonight, hopefully. Time's not running out, but I'm not going to be as picky. First legal bear that steps in front of me I'm probably going to shoot it here tonight. There's not as many bears in here as I thought there would be. It's probably a later thing. When I was planning these hunts, I was wondering if maybe I shouldn't come more towards the end of September. But, that's the way I planned it, so that's the way it's going to happen. We'll get a bear out of here for the landowner anyway, and let loose and take the pressure off of his oat field here a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to settle in now, and I saw a huge whitetail in here last night, and he crossed the field so fast I didn't get any video of him. So hopefully he shows up again this evening and I get some video of him. He's a really big deer. I'm sure that April and Jim would be interested to see a video of him. So anyway, I'm going to settle in here and see what happens. So I'm sitting here hunting for bears. It sounds like a line to a horrible story. Oh man, that was a beautiful buck. 5-year-old deer. Exactly what I kind of aimed to shoot. And I'm sitting here wearing blaze orange on the ground with a 30-06. Not a bow.
Hey, Jamie here for Blue Collar Outdoors. Today we're making pulled bear tacos. With bear meat, you want to make sure it's always cooked well done, and a great way to do it is to use a crock pot. To cook it nice and low and slow. The main thing you have to keep in mind is to make sure the meat reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So today in the crock pot, in the braise, we're going to use canned chipotle peppers, some crushed tomatoes, some beef broth. You could use chicken broth if you want a little bit more mild flavor. We have a little bit of salt, some ground cumin, some ground coriander, as well as some crushed garlic. Very simple. We're going to turn that onto low, and we're going to leave it overnight, 24 hours, and it should be ready to go. So here we are 24 hours later. Our bear meat is nice and pull apart tender. Here we have our taco garnishes. We have some applewood smoked cheddar, nice and smoky to go with the chipotle really well. We have some fresh cilantro leaves, some quarter grape tomatoes, some sliced scallions or green onions if you will, some julienne jicama. You can use iceberg lettuce, you could use chayote squash, you could use bell peppers, whatever, nice and crunchy just to give it texture contrast. Some fresh lime and some fresh avocado. Here we have a corn tortilla and a soft flour tortilla. And I'm going to start assembling the tacos. Typically, I like to put down a little bit of sour cream, then some cheese. You can make them whichever way you want. They're your tacos. But I like to put the cheese down first, because when I put the hot meat on top, the cheese gets nice and melted. So here they are, prepped and ready to eat. Bear tacos. Come try a bite, Ryan.
All right, that looks awesome. That looks really amazing. I'm gonna try this one out here. This is such a unique recipe, but it's simplistic in its complexity, as I call it. It looks so good. Wow. You know, folks, bear hunting really is a way to feed oneself. The myth is that the meat doesn't get used and that bear meat is greasy and doesn't taste good, but that's just it. It's a myth. It's untrue. Folks, when you go out bear hunting, or if you ever thought of bear hunting, definitely take the meat home with you. It's well worth it. Well, folks, September 9th here on day 4 of my bear hunt. Sitting back in the same spot here that I've been in the previous 3 evenings. This is the spot where I had that encounter with that big deer last night. Man, that was close. So the reason why I've chosen this spot here is really quite simple. The oats in front of me here are really low, and they haven't grown very tall. And throughout the majority of the rest of the field, the oats are about hip height. And what those tall oats really inhibit me from doing is seeing if that's a sow with cubs out there, if there's a bear out there. And the nice thing is about the oats right here is if anything comes out with cubs, I'll be able to see the cubs. So hopefully the bears continue to come out here. There's tracks. When I walk in off to the west of me here, there's tracks going across the field. The bears are obviously coming in here. It's just I haven't been here when they've stepped out. I suspect a lot of bears are feeding around the corner there, but I just don't really feel like popping my head around the corner and seeing a bear and not being able to shoot it because I don't know if it's a sow with cubs. And that's something you really have to be careful with bear hunting, especially in this circumstance. Those sows with cubs are protected by law, and it would be highly unethical to shoot a sow with cubs. So that's why I'm being uber careful here when it comes to the bears in front of me. I will let those bears stand in front of me, watch body language, look at some of those subtle cues that are on bears that tell you it might be a sow or it might be a boar, just to ensure that I'm not shooting a sow. Try to avoid shooting a sow, but to ensure I'm not shooting a sow with cubs. So it's pretty early, it's only about 5. I got till about 9 o'clock. I'm gonna settle in now and wait the evening out. Holy crap, that happened fast. Oh, I just heard him coming through the bush right there. That's the same bear I saw 2 days ago. I just heard him coming through the bush there. That's the same bear I saw the first evening, and it's not the biggest bear, but man, is he gonna be some good eating. The landowner's been having issues with bears on this field, and just did him a huge favor. That bear's been eating his oats like crazy and flattening the crop, and along with others. And it was just time to get it done. Hey, bear. Hey. Hey. Well, folks, here he is. He's a little younger than I thought he was. He's probably a 2-year-old bear, maybe a 3-year-old. Just a young guy in the bear world. As I've told you folks already, bears can live to be 20, 25, or even 30 years old, even in the wild. So this guy was just starting out. But, you know, he's a problem bear. And what can you do? He's gonna probably annihilate 5 acres of this oat field on this farmer who's relying on these oats to feed his cattle, which in turn is feeding the world. So sometimes you just have to make hard choices and do things that you don't exactly like to do or agree to do. I love spring bear hunting. I love sitting over a bait pile, watching bears, you know, and eventually hopefully seeing the big one come out that you know, everyone dreams of. This is a little different for me in the fact that the landowner pretty much said, shoot a bear, please, for the love of God. Passed on this bear. I'm sure it's the same bear opening the first evening I was out. Just wasn't really ready to shoot one yet. I wanted to get a little more video and a little more story for you folks. So I passed on him, figured he'd come back out here eventually, and that's what happened, is he worked his way back out here. He came in a little closer this time though and caught me off guard. He was 14 yards when I shot him. He stepped out just over here, and I was just sitting there, just minding my own business. I hate to admit it, I was actually playing on my iPhone. And all of a sudden I heard branches breaking back here, and bears are notoriously loud, so I knew what was happening. And he gave me enough time to get set up and get ready to shoot, and just enough time. The clips are real short. So yeah, this is what happens with good sound management. There's no shortage of bears in this province. They're expanding. We're seeing bears in areas we've never seen them before. So it's important to manage them. Bear hunting may not be for everyone, but it certainly plays a role in modern-day wildlife management and provides many tasty meals for those like myself and others who hunt bears. The days of letting nature take its course ended with modern-day farming practices. Those practices have helped wildlife flourish, thus creating the need for management models that address this issue. We all have a role to play, regardless of where we stand on this issue. I'd like to thank Jamie Snow for taking some time out of his day to share a wonderful bear recipe with us, and I'd like to thank all of you for watching today. Until next time, take care.